Hey there guys, what's happening YouTube, and thank you for tuning in to Rules for Rebels. Today is Tuesday and we're back with another episode of Side Hustle Tuesdays. Today is episode 91 of our Side Hustling series. As soon as I wrap up the filming of today's episode, I'm actually going to get started on next week's episode because I'm going to be out of town next week, so we're going to try to get this knocked out and scheduled to post next Tuesday. And actually would love some suggestions from you guys. I'm going to be heading down to Aruba with some friends. Never been down there before. It'll be my first time. So if any of you guys have any suggestions of beaches I should check out, activities I should do, places I should go see, or any good food spots, let me know. Drop a comment below. Let me know what I should check out while I'm down there. Should be a good time. It's a friend of mine's birthday. Going to be about 16 of us heading down there. And we got a pretty sweet house. Has several different pools, a movie theater, an outdoor gym. So it should be a really good time. But I've never been there, so if anybody has any activity suggestions, drop a comment down below. Let me know about them. Also, before we get into today's episode, I'd like to give a shout out to today's sponsor, Shopify.com. Whether you're looking to launch your own e-commerce store, sell on social media, or out of your trunk, Shopify has got you covered. Regardless of your technical or graphic design skills, anybody can launch a streamlined, well-functioning, and pretty-looking Shopify store in just a matter of minutes, and that's exactly what today's Side Hustler did. Today's episode is going to be a fun one. It's also one that's very relatable. Regardless of what skills you possess or don't possess, any one of you guys could copy and launch a business exactly like today's Side Hustler within a matter of hours. Well, this business isn't bringing in tens of thousands of dollars a month. It was very quick and easy to get started, and it's doing as much as $1,300 in sales some months. And as today's Side Hustler Dennis says, despite many a YouTuber wanting you to believe that they are making hundreds of thousands of dollars a month drop shipping shitty AliExpress products, the reality is much more somber, and that's kind of what he wanted to get across by starting this project. This is kind of a case study for Dennis. So today's Side Hustler's name is Dennis Moon. Dennis is from Belgium. Dennis runs a store called Apes in Space where he sells space posters. Now, Dennis has been an e-commerce consultant for about 7 years. He blogs about what he learns from clients' projects and from working with clients. However, he's oftentimes limited by what he can openly share due to client confidentiality. So he decided to start his own online store kind of as a case study that he could use to document and share everything regarding the starting up of an online store. His goal was not to create the most amazing store ever, but to create an honest and truthful account of what it takes to start and grow an online store. And he says he's doing this because of all the BS in the online world of entrepreneurship. His goal was to give people a more realistic view, as well as see the inner workings of a business, and hopefully encourage people to try these ideas on their own projects. The business Dennis decided to create is a print-on-demand business selling posters. Dennis isn't a graphic designer, so he got creative with his product images. Dennis settled on the topic or the niche of space, a topic that interests a lot of people, and he set about finding royalty-free or public domain images to use. I thought this was a very good idea picking this niche, as NASA themselves release a lot of their photos and images to the public domain, so it gives them a lot of content to work with. Dennis decided to use Printful, which is something he's used in the past for other projects. He said this production process isn't complicated. He scours the web for great images that have been released into the public domains, and he puts them on a poster, which he'll get printed through Printful as soon as the customer buys one. This is fairly similar to another Etsy business we talked about in a previous week of Side Hustle Tuesdays, where a side hustler began making tea-stained paper and then printing historical public domain images on that paper. Dennis had put off starting this project for a while, but one weekend decided to sit down and crank out a store. He had his store completed in about 10 hours, and less than 24 hours later, through some stroke of luck, he managed to land his first sale. Well, the store hasn't done huge numbers. It is up to about $1,300 a month in sales. While any profit is always good, it is important to point out that due to the nature of print on demand, the base prices are high, which means the margins are low. So a large percentage of these sales numbers is actually inventory cost and isn't profit. But to be able to launch a store so quickly and easily and be profitable so quickly is impressive nonetheless. What's cool about the Apes in Space project, and what really highlights the beauty of a side hustle, is that Dennis was able to go from having an idea to a fully live store within just a matter of hours. If it works out, great. If it doesn't, he's only out a few hours of work and little to no money. Dennis said his biggest takeaway from this project is to just get started. He said he's had way too many ideas on his to-do list wind up dying out. He says that Apes in Space isn't doing fantastic, but it is bringing in sales and is making money, so that's a win in his book. As far as driving traffic and attracting new customers, I really like what Dennis did. He got really creative and did it with content marketing. I think this is incredibly important in the print-on-demand space where margins are often low and it's not always feasible to run paid ads or to pay for traffic. Dennis drove most of his traffic using content marketing, and being how space is a topic that's interesting to most people, it really lends itself well to this type of marketing. After sharing the project on his personal social network and some Facebook groups, the initial buzz began to die down. Dennis decided to come up with a creative idea, and he called it Today in Space History, and he would write blog posts covering historic events in space history that happened on a particular day. Really good idea, as it perfectly lends itself to the subject matter of his posters, which is space. To date, Dennis has written about 50 articles about space history events. With each article, it gives him content to post on Facebook and social media. However, knowing that SEO and driving organic traffic can be a long-term game and a long-term strategy, Dennis did decide to play around with Facebook ads, and he has figured out how to get some decent traffic for about 5 cents a click, which is pretty good. Dennis says conversions aren't great, but right now he's looking at it more as a branding opportunity, an opportunity to drive some awareness and get some social media shares. Dennis says another benefit of these space history articles he's writing is it allows him to discover what resonates with his audience. A while back, after a post about the anniversary of the first successful SpaceX landing of a rocket, he saw a spike in traffic. He learned to pay more attention to what SpaceX was doing, and he would quickly follow up with a blog post following any SpaceX news or announcements. That strategy wound up working, and he saw a $1,000 bump in sales just from that campaign alone. Currently, Dennis is experimenting with content marketing and writing articles about space history. He's also doing Google AdWords, Facebook Organic, as well as Facebook ads, Instagram posts, and email marketing. Dennis feels that his business is still in the early or the growth stages, and he says that while it hasn't made a ton of money, the sales he has made thus far has proven that there is a market out there for what he's selling. While he would like to outsource most of this article writing and content creation, he says even hiring mediocre writers would cost him about $500 to $600 a month. So before he does that, he wants to gain some more profitability, and he plans to do this by raising his prices as well as keeping the advertising costs in check. One piece of advice that Dennis has to share with fellow entrepreneurs is listen to your market to find out what works. He says feedback from your market doesn't have to come in the form of sales, but can be something as simple as getting a few comments on a blog post, whereas other blog posts hadn't gotten any. He says interest and engagement is as big of a win as a sale if you know how to convert that interest and engagement into a sale. In regards to tools and the platforms that Dennis is using to run his business, he's using Shopify for his storefront and Printful as his fulfillment partner. And he says he's also had success in building his email list using a program called Privy, which is a Shopify application. And that's actually what I personally use on my store as well. A parting piece of advice from Dennis is when you're starting out, it's important to know why you're starting your store. What makes it unique? Why should people care? He says you should have a good response to those questions, and you need to make sure that's reflected in your store and your brand. I think that's great advice, as I see too many people in the POD space make up a name, slap some clip art next to it, and expect people to buy into this not even fully crafted brand or lifestyle that they've supposedly created. That's not going to work. You really need to drill into why you're starting your store and why other people should care. Well, guys, if today's story and business was of any interest to you, then you should feel encouraged, because any one of you could launch a business just like this within a matter of hours, even if you've never set up a Shopify store or done e-commerce before. I really liked a number of things about today's business. First off, Dennis is using print on demand, which means the business can be started with little to no risk and little to no capital, and it also really simplifies the product sourcing process. Down the line, if the business turns out to be more profitable, it would be a very small investment for Dennis to get these posters printed in bulk, and that would make the margins much larger. So this business definitely has room to scale. I also like how Dennis found a niche that he could use royalty-free or Creative Commons images for. This means he doesn't have to do any graphic design work, nor does he have to hire or spend any money on graphic designers. Well, this business isn't making as much as some of the other businesses we've covered. I love the simplicity of it. And regardless of the size of the profit, props to Dennis for launching a profitable business, period, as that isn't always easy. Anyhow, guys, that's today's story. I hope you found it interesting. I hope you were inspired. And until next time, This is Rules for Rebels and Side Hustle Tuesdays signing out. Have a great rest of the week, guys.